Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and to this new video where I'm going to share how I have been preparing for Junk Journal January. If you don't know yet, I will be one of the collaborators in this edition, and I'm so thankful that Max has invited me to participate at this time. I can't wait to share my take on the prompt modern for day 25, but until then, let me show you how I have been organized my things, selecting my favorite materials, and get inspired to enjoy a month of journaling fun. I have already bound my journal and nothing special. I just sewed 2 signatures on an old book cover. I have also decorated its cover and I will share how I did it later in this video. I have also selected some of the papers I want to use in my pages, include some special ones sent to me by Arlena in this gorgeous envelope full of beautiful stamps that I will definitely include in my journal. Another thing I like to use to embellish my journals is my paper rosettes, which I make from coffee filters. I usually make parts of them so I can later select the ones I want to use according to the color palette of my journals. I think I have a video or short showing how I make them, so I will leave the link for you. I also always have available all these leaf and flower pieces that I create with watercolors and decorate with metallic gel pens. This is something you can see a lot in my journals, in the same way that you can see these floral pieces that I make inspired by embroidery partner using relief liner. I also have a video showing how I create them, and I will leave the link for you. Finally, another thing I always like to add to my journals is scraps of fabric, laces and pom-poms, mainly to decorate the edges of my pages. And yeah, basically these are the kinds of embellishments I like to use in my journals. So every time I am about to start work on a new one, I like to check to see what I have available in my stash and to see what I can use or if I want to create something new. During my preparations, I like to define a color palette for my journal. And this time I was inspired by the luscious colors of precious gemstones. A mix of deep dark purples and greens with vibrant pinks and blues such as turquoise. So I decided to swatch all the watercolors I had in these shades on an old book page to have them available as inspiration while working the journal, to later add the swatch page somehow into my journal. My next step in getting ready for Junk Journal January was to decorate the cover of my journal. I know that the first prompt of the challenge is cover, but I wanted to have mine already done, and I am planning for the one to create an open page for the journal instead. As for the cover style, the only thing I was sure of was that I wanted to include a crochet doily. I debated for a while on how to do that, and I decided to go with my traditional way of combining layers of stencil, fabrics, and flower drawings using relief liner. To apply the stencil, I like to use a mixture of modeling paste and acrylic paint, because when it dries it gets a muted effect, which is good for backgrounds in my opinion, and also because of the extra texture it adds to the cover. This is a technique that I really like to use to decorate the cover of my journals. If you look at them, you will see that I usually alternate between using the stencil as the first layer to add color and texture to the background, as I am doing here, or sometimes as the last layer to create a focal point for the cover. One important thing to consider when applying thick layers of modeling paste is that it takes a while for it to dry completely. Sometimes I try to accelerate this process with a heat gun, but the truth is that even with that, it takes some minutes for you to be able to add anything over it without messing everything up. With the stencil layer dry, it was time to add the doily, and for this I used gel medium, but you can apply any other adhesive you are used to. Another important thing is that since the doily has a lot of empty spaces, I had to be very careful not to add too much gel, so that I could keep the cover looking as clean as possible. I let the doily dry for about half an hour, and then I came back to add the final layer of my cover using a relief liner. I really like to use this kind of paint, especially to decorate the covers and also to create embellishments for my journals. I have a preference for the ones from Talent's art creation brand, because they have these pearl versions that I think add a touch of glamour to everything you create with them. I had the idea of using this kind of paint in my journals when I was looking for an alternative way of adding embroidery to them. And this turned out to be a faster way to add volume, texture, and interest to my pages. I have a video where I show the basics of how to make these little dot and drop shapes to mimic petals and leaves and to create these kinds of compositions. I will leave the link for you below in the description. And one important thing when working with this kind of paint is that it takes a couple of hours to be completely dry, so be patient and leave it to dry alone, because heat guns don't work well with them. So with all dry, my journal is done. I bound 2 signatures with enough pages to cover the 31 days of the challenge, combining all sorts of papers that I had available, and also some printed papers from digital kits. Finally, in my process of preparing for the challenge, I like to set apart some of the materials I will use during the month. My favorite pens include a black brush pen, a metallic uniball gel pen, and also some jelly rolls in different colors. I like also to separate some ink pads and a few of the hand carved stamps I created for past challenges, and I will probably create new ones during the next month. Another thing I like to set apart is some stably woods and some pastel for mark making. Oh, my beloved white jelly roll pen that can't be left behind. Also some washi tape to help me add tips in and to extend pages. And also my color swatch to inspire me throughout the month. This is usually how I like to organize my things before a long challenge. And I will for sure add more things throughout the month, but I think by this you can get an idea of how I like to prepare everything. So I hope this have somehow inspired you to join the challenge, and I see you in the next video. Bye!